Welcome to Songwriters from Here and Away. This is a show that focuses on new and established songwriters from Atlantic Canada, across Canada, and around the world. Hello and welcome to Songwriters from Here and Away. My name is Robert Campbell and I'm quite excited that you are here today to listen to this show. We had the lovely opportunity of hanging out with Terra Spencer for a concert at the Pink Piano in Lower Sackville. It was a full house and she wowed the crowd all night long. We'll probably have about 2/3 of the show in this 1-hour segment, so you'll have to go to your online podcast distributor or to sfhaa.ca to catch the rest of the show. You can look up Terra Spencer at www.terraspencer.ca. We missed the first song on the recording, but we'll start right in with Terra Spencer.
One of the first concerts I ever played was a show called City Ditties, and all the songs had to be about cities. And at that point, I had not spent much time in cities at all, really. So I had to go on the news, the morning news, to promote that show. And I pretended that this next song was about Brooklyn, New York. Not even close. I met a girl named Brooklyn standing by the schoolhouse door, with blue eyes like her mother's that could start or stop a war. And she loves her baby brother, and she's written him a song. And I have a funny feeling that I'll hear it before long. The beauty of a skyline, the promise of the world are just a few things you might find in the eyes of a little girl. I took the bus to Brooklyn where I spent my younger days. It was where I earned my war wounds and I faked my way to A's. Flannel shirts and blue jeans were a suitable disguise for the eyes of guys around me. But then one day one found me. My heart was taken by a boy who had a band. But we had a fight on prom night, so my friend and I went dancing. I had no ambitions, nothing I was dreaming of, beyond a moment's worth of love. Ooh, the beauty of a shoreline, the promise of the world are just a few things he hoped to find in the eyes of a high school girl. Through the yearbook that I found down in the basement, and I pause on certain pages and I wonder where a face went. 20 years seems like a short time if I look over my shoulder, but it feels like a long time to a young girl who can't wait to be older. I met a girl named Brooklyn standing by the schoolhouse door, with blue eyes like her mother's that could start or stop a war. And she loves her baby brother, and she's written him a song. And I have a funny feeling that I'll hear it before long. The beauty of a skyline, the promise of the world are just a few things you might find in the eyes of a little girl. Thank you so much. I have one thing, at least, in common with Robert and Kaylin that I know of, and that is that we have had the privilege of playing some music in Germany. You folks have been there a lot more than I have. And I got this ridiculous proposal. I got kind of sideswiped, I guess. I did not plan to do this, what I am doing right now, this getting up in front of people and playing music. This was not my lifelong ambition. This was not my master plan. This is kind of a happy accident. I was an official ice cream scooper at the Kemp Shore Music Festival. That was my entry point into the festival. And the great thing about the ice cream stand, my daughter is the boss there, so I was her employee, and it's right next to the stage, and there's one stage. So the musicians are kind of bottlenecked. They have to go past the ice cream stand to get anywhere in or out of the festival. Smart plan. And that is how I met a country musician from Nova Scotia named Ryan Cook. And he, at the time, was recruiting backup singers. And we struck up this quick friendship. He's a quirky fellow, and I have been called quirky by some people, but we made a fast friendship. And he said, look, have you ever done any harmony singing? Have you ever been a backup singer by chance? I said, yeah, obviously that's what I've done. Obviously I have a great deal of experience. Lied through my teeth, and started touring with him, and then started writing songs, and then started playing shows, and that's how we ended up here today. So that's my entire musical resume for you, in case you're wondering. But that experience, he invited me to go on this big tour. It was a 3-month tour, which I realize now is too long. And it was a month in Ontario, the month of February, not ideal. And then England and Germany, and I'd never been out of the country before. So it was kind of a ludicrous thing to do. But even Germany, that was a proposal that we were both quite afraid of, because we had no idea if anyone would understand English words. This show would be very boring if you didn't, even more so. So we didn't know, and we landed there with complete unknowing. And the first show that we played was in a place called Munich, Germany. And I had certain expectations of what Germany would be like from, I don't know, TV. I don't know where I had them, but like the first thing is that our host there, his name was Michael, took us out for supper. And I don't know what your knowledge or guesses about a typical German meal might be. What are the kind of things you'd expect on a Wiener Schnitzel? Is it? Sauerkraut, yeah. Potatoes, yeah. Beer, yes. Put a pin in that. So, our host took us out for supper at a Greek restaurant. So instantly I knew things might not be all that they seemed. And while we ate our Greek meal, he told us about our accommodations for the night, because, often when you play shows, you get put up for the night by very friendly folks, and it saves you some cash, which is great, and gives you stories that you can tell. And the story he told us was of the wee little room that we'd be staying in, which was a floor down from his apartment where he and his family lived. And he explained that it had been lived in previously by what we would call here, sadly, a hoarder, which in Germany is referred to as a messie, which is even less kind, I think. And he said not to worry because the fellow had passed away very recently in the room, but they'd done a great job of tidying up, and we would have a very comfortable night. Now, for reasons we'll get to later, I'm quite comfortable with death, but that bit of information I didn't really need to know at the time, I think. So here is a song from that experience. And the beer drinking, we'll shortcut that and just say that's the only time in my life so far I've ever peed in a beer stein. Over pale German ale, Michael tells us the tale of the man who had lived one floor down. For 50 long years, no one else ventured near. They walked through the hall, unaware of the squalor that he kept around. Newspapers and bags, wrappers and rags, treasures and trash piled high. A Great Wall of Germany built from its history, bric-a-brac bricks and the buzzing of flies. All alone in his room, sealed in his tomb when they finally opened the door. He had died in his chair, 3 days resting there. Mountains of memories and stacks on the floor. What makes it so strong? The urge to hold on to things we should really let go. In a one-man museum where people can't see them, secrets we keep from the neighbors below. And Munich wakes up in the morning and washes its face. But sadness makes marks you can feel in the dark. Fresh paint and plaster are meant to erase. Climbing each flight of the staircase, you might feel the footsteps of those gone before. The coming and going, the uneasy unknowing of those who have been through the war. War. Michael leads us upstairs to the room we will share after we've played our concert that night. While the boys go out drinking, I lay here thinking, ashamed to feel lonely. I read Truman Capote just to keep on the light. Till I hear them tumbling, laughing and mumbling, stumbling down the cobblestone streets. In just a few hours they'll take their cold showers and put cowboy boots back on their feet. And Munich wakes up in the morning and washes its face. But sadness makes marks you can feel in the dark. Fresh paint and plaster are meant to erase. Climbing each flight of the staircase, you might feel the footsteps of those gone before. The coming and going, the uneasy unknowing of those who have been through the war. The coming and going, the uneasy unknowing of those who have been through the war. War. Hello, folks on this side of the room. How are you doing back there? I couldn't look over at you because my hair was gradually taking over my face. And if I had turned this way, I would have been lost entirely. Sorry about that. I survived that tour, obviously, with Ryan Cook. Had a great time. And had so much fun that I signed on for another great adventure with a different friend, a musician named Ben Kaplan. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Ben Kaplan. Yeah. If you are, then you know that Ben is a big presence in all manners. He has a big beard and big hair and big glasses and a big voice and a big personality, especially when you are driving across Canada and back for 5 weeks, just the two of you in a van. And Ben and I made an album together, which was an unexpected thing again, and then he invited me on this huge tour with him, and that was unexpected as well. And he gave me some coaching. Ben is a very seasoned performer. We were chatting about that before the show, Robert. He has everything kind of down to a science, you know, it's like clockwork, his show. He's brilliant. So I listened very carefully when he gave me pieces of advice. And one thing he told me is that as we're traveling from town to town, many of the places I'd never been before, he said, before we get there to play our show, learn a fun little fact about each town that we're going to visit. And then get up on stage each night and say it to the crowd, something about their town, that's unique or curious. And the people there will feel very special, and they will like you. And at that point, I could use all the help I could get. So I thought about this long and hard. And then each night of our 30-odd shows we played, I would get up on stage each night, and I would brag about Nova Scotia instead. Because I've lived here my whole life, and that may be the case till the end of my days. I just think we have it pretty good here. And, when you're out in, Arsend, Alberta, you kind of brag about the fact that you have all this water around you, You feel very landlocked. Poor souls out there. So I used this song as an excuse to brag. It's a little maritime waltz from Lunenburg, Nova Scotia. So I'd invite you to dance, but I think somebody might get hurt. So anyhow. How are those chips holding out there? Yeah? I really would, but we'll chat about that in a little later. The church glowing golden, I remember your smile, and the echo of footsteps as we met in the aisle, and the music was gentle, but it lifted us high. It was just an old folk song, but it still made me cry. We went to a party with some friends down the street. The wine kept on flowing as we followed our feet to a house on the hillside while the town was asleep. Every step on the staircase had a secret to keep. All the words I remember, and I remember the tune. At the end of September, and me and you and the Lunenburg moon. Your hand I was holding, my heart skipping beats, in the bed of a captain with sails for his sheets. And the room was so quiet, just whispers and waves. In the darkness we drifted, two souls to be saved. All the words I remember, and I remember the tune. At the end of September, and me and you and the Lunenburg moon. Now you're far far from the harbor, and the ship has sailed on, and the shore winds blow colder the longer you're gone. And I wait by the window, and I watch the snow fly, and you're miles from the ocean, with no moon in the sky. All the words I remember, and I remember the two at the end of September, and me and you and the Lunenburg moon. At the end of September, and me and you and the Lunenburg moon.
You're listening
Thank
to
you.
Terra Spencer live in concert at the Pink Piano in Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia. We're glad you are here listening in as well. Thanks for tuning in to Songwriters from Here and Away. Do look us up online, sfhaa.ca. Send us a note. We'll send you one back, maybe send you some music. This next segment will show you just why Terra Spencer's one of the finest entertainers with regards to not always singing, but being able to tell a story. And she has a little bit about her day job that she probably won't go back to too much. Might keep it in her hip pocket as a backup, but personally, I don't think she needs any backup plan B. Terra Spencer.
I feel like I'm sneaking home in the house after curfew because I've got one creaky board here. And I just, every time I shift over, I'm like, oh, Mom and Dad. Oh. So some of us know each other quite well. Some of you have known me since the day I was born, I think. And a lot of us are new, though, meeting each other. So I'll give you a little bit of background on me. I already told you that I didn't really plan to be a musician. And similarly, I did not plan to be a funeral director. That was another sort of happy accident. I grew up in a little village called Somerville, Hants County. No, it's just Brooklyn. It's just Brooklyn. I'm so curious about your connection to Brooklyn, Hants County. Yep, okay, we'll move right along then. So it's a small little place, population now probably 363. Those are the kind of numbers you keep track of when you're a funeral director. But I got hired as the organist. I was, one of the only kids in town, in the village, who took piano lessons growing up and therefore had no competition for the job. And my boss, though, learned quickly that I could also use a computer, which was also rare, I guess, in the village. And so I instantly became the organist/office administrator. And then he determined that he could play more golf in the summer if I was a funeral director. So I got promoted once again. It was a quick escalation. And that experience, though, not only did it make me comfortable with death in a different way, but it gave me a different perspective on life, not surprisingly. And the lesson there was to not wait around to do the things you want to do, and to be a bit bold and attempt things, and not be held back, I guess, by what you think your limitations are. And that's been a great lesson in music. But I will tell you a story that some of you have heard before, about my first experience looking after a funeral service all by myself, because I worked as an apprentice for some time before I got my full license. And the first night that I was assigned to a funeral all on my own, no minister, no supervision or anything, it was just me, I was very nervous. It was a graveside service in the summer. It was a small service. I guess the family was looking after some things themselves. They had decided to dig the hole themselves for the service. No, settle down. It was a cremation service, a small hole service. And so right from the get-go, it felt like everybody had their role, everybody was involved. And so we all gathered together on a Friday night, and I ran through what I had prepared, did the eulogy and the scriptures and the prayers and the whole shebang, and I looked around the circle at the end of the service, and everybody seemed at peace with things, and I was massively relieved, because you don't want to mess that up. But what I noticed, though, immediately when I looked around the circle, it occurred to me that the members of the family who had dug the hole for the service had not brought back with them the shovel to fill the hole back in, which is a key part of any funeral. And times like that, though, you need to be resourceful, as with most jobs. So, I was kind of thinking about how we could put things right, and we kind of rounded up our Tim Hortons cups and things and filled the hole back in together. And it was a very sweet moment. It was very tender, I think. And I felt very good about it. And then we all went our separate ways. But I'd kept a secret from the family. I didn't want them to know that I was in a little bit of a hurry, because that same evening I was supposed to be in Halifax, an hour away, to play a show. And I didn't want to seem rushed, but as soon as they cleared out of the cemetery, I jumped in the car and booted it into the city and strapped my guitar on my back and literally ran to the venue. It was called the Company House, if you remember that place in the city. Yeah, ran literally through the door. And the first person I met was my friend Jason. And I ran in huffing and puffing and said, "Oh my gosh, Jason, I am so sorry. I know that I am running late and I really apologize, but I was at a funeral service and the gravedigger didn't show up, so I had to fill in." And that is the right reaction, that groan. And that is a very true story. In the hard gray chairs at the doctor's office, me and a man with a terrible cough. It's 11 a.m., the doctor is late, nothing there to do but wait. He handed me a wrinkly business card, told me of his young years working hard, small engine repair, tractors and mowers, back in the days when the world moved slower. He had loved every minute of the simple life, a lot less simple since he lost his wife. She had died last June, her lungs full of cancer. He took all the tests, he was waiting for answers. His hands were shaking, he looked so nervous as he handed me the card that said, "At your service." At the funeral home when the paperwork came, I remembered the card and I remembered his name. The obituary short, no next of kin. We only had to print a few bulletins for the half-dozen people that had gathered there, fanning themselves in their hard gray chairs. Workers from the home where the old man lived, sympathy cards with nobody to give. The minister comforted in their loss, and everybody rose for the old rugged cross. We carried him down to where the grass was mown, his wife and his son's names carved in stone. As we covered the grave with a shovel of dirt, I remember the card with the words, "At your service." I have two children, maybe not kids, I guess. They are finding their own ways in the world, and that's an exciting thing and a very fearful thing, too, because that is the point where you start to think, oh no, it's too late to fix it. Oh my God. I have two great kids, though, fortunately, and not much of a concern, but I was concerned in a sense because, A, my daughter has decided to study to be a psychologist, which is kind of a daunting thing when you have a family like mine. And my son decided, let me explain, obviously I'm a folk musician. My husband and I met when he was doing theater in university. And so the last thing we were prepared for is to have a kid who wanted to join the military. But that's how rebellion works, I guess. So when our son announced this, it was hard to hold tongues and just take some deep breaths, I guess, because that just wasn't a lifestyle I was familiar with. But I said, this is fine. You're obviously pursue whatever you think will make you happy as long as the world holds its act together. And my son went to basic training in the first week of October of last year. And I don't know if you recall what the news headlines looked like then, but all of a sudden it looked like the world might not do a great job of holding itself together. And so I got to go to a little beautiful cottage in Ontario for a Songwriters retreat. I had one night to myself, by the water's edge, and it was picture perfect in October, glorious, like absolutely beautiful. And so I should have a song for you right now about the splendors of autumn and the changing of the seasons, but that is not where my heart was. So I'm going to play you the song that I wrote for my son George. What are you thinking, my only son, as you're lying awake in your bed? The news of the world, how it's cracking in pieces, is it hollering now in your head? And what are you thinking, my only son, as you stand by the flag to salute? Do you have enough faith in any one of your fingers, in the ground lying under your boot? When the time comes to point and to shoot, somewhere in the world, a mother like me is feeling exactly the same as her own only son takes his place on the board on the opposite side of the game. But this isn't checkers and this isn't chess, where the rules are laid out and you don't have to guess. It's the white flag of peace and it's the black of a bruise, and it's easy. Oh, it is easy. It is easy for both sides to lose. Somewhere in the world, a mother is screaming, holding her son to her heart. The light of her world gone in an instant, buried in rubble, a home ripped apart. And if that curly-haired baby, bright-eyed and smiling, is the price to be paid for a war, it is hard to convince me in my heart of a mother anything worth fighting for? Oh, is there anything worth fighting for? So what happened? Well, he stayed there for 7 months. He got injured, holed up in a waiting pen, basically, and finally at one point decided this was not for him, and promptly called up the community college in Nova Scotia and applied to become a car mechanic. And in the first week of April, came home and the next day started working at the local car shop. And I could not be happier about this. Because, you know, being an artist, quote unquote, is great. Being a psychologist is great. But I bet both of those people pay the car mechanic an awful lot from time to time. So a key person in this whole operation of me being a musician and a funeral director and a mom and all of that is my beloved husband, Andrew, who is the most patient person on the face of the earth, I guess. And I don't write, unfortunately, a whole lot of love songs, so it's very precious when I do. I try to make sure I play them just to let everybody know things are good at home in case word trickles back to him while he's out walking the dogs in Windsor. But I am going to play you one of those songs. It's on this record I've been working on with my friend Dave Gunning. That's almost done. It'll be out this fall, so I'll be carting that around and maybe see you then with a big band somewhere here in Nova Scotia. But for now, it's just me, unfortunately. So I'm going to play you this little song that is about my feelings about Valentine's Day. How do you feel about Valentine's Day here? Yeah, that's exactly it. Yep, me too. Yep, that's it. I loved Valentine's Day when I was a kid in school. It was super fun to get your Care Bears Valentines or Snoopy ones and write all your classmates' names on them and pretend you didn't have any feelings about that at all, and then take your little Kleenex box home at the end of the day and see what you got. I loved all of that. But then as soon as I moved away from home and started dating people, it all changed, because my first serious boyfriend while I was in university, my only serious boyfriend in university, let me not paint too dramatic a picture here, decided that for Valentine's Day we should do a very grown-up thing and buy each other some racy lingerie. Now, we were broke college students, so we decided we didn't want to pay to go on the bus anywhere in Halifax. So we went to what I think must have been the closest store we could think of where you might purchase such an item. And some of you may remember this name, but it was a store called Byway. Are you familiar with Byway? If you don't know what Byway is, there's kind of like Walmart and the dollar store and Byway. It was like just above it. Oh, not exactly luxury. So we went there, and that is how I ended up in the possession of a polyester blend thong. And all I'm going to tell you is that's why I hate Valentine's Day. Don't make my Valentine red, like the suitcase that I keep tucked under the bed. 'Cause I have no plans to leave while other girls receive cards and roses. Give me kisses instead of a Valentine red. Don't make like the sweater you left with me when you left town to work planting trees and feed the mosquitoes while I waited for the mail to come round, make my Valentine brown. Make my Valentine pink, like the color of cheeks when I've had one more drink. On the dance floor we move when the band finds a groove, and we don't touch, but I can feel what you think. Make my Valentine pink. Others may cut my heart, but you can glue it. You're the mark of the arrow run through it. Make my Valentine blue, like the ink in our letters of tenderness true. The shirt that you bought was the same ocean hue as the dress I was wearing when we said I do. And the light in the night as I lie next to you. Make my Valentine blue. Make my Valentine blue.
You're listening to Terra Spencer live at the Pink Piano Cafe in Lower Sackville, right here on Songwriters from Here and Away. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate you being here. We will have more songs on the podcast. There are a number of songs that won't make it on this show. Please tune in there. Check it out. It's on all the podcasting platforms and www.sfhaa.ca. You've heard it before. Go there. Now, Terra Spencer, one last time.
Yeah, I have a lot to thank you for, Auntie Patty. My grandparents, remember tape recorders back in the day when you could record yourself? It was very exciting. And my grandparents had a stash of cassette tapes in the basement. And one of them is Auntie Patty, Teach Me How to Swear. But there's a song that is on this record that I'm working on. I feel so lucky. I get to sing with some of my friends and heroes on this record. That last song, there's a wonderful duo in Halifax called the Bombadils sing it with me, and just make it so special. And this song, though, is someone who's been a hero of mine for years and years. His name's Stephen Fearing. I don't know if you've ever heard of Stephen Fearing, but yeah, I've loved him forever. And I just saw that Sarah McLachlan is coming back to Halifax soon, and I went to see Stephen Fearing because he was opening for Sarah McLachlan. And I told my family, please, I was maybe 13, I will do anything on earth if you'll take me to this Sarah McLachlan concert. It's all I want in the world. And my grandmother and great-grandmother took me to the concert at the Rebecca Cohen. And they gave me spending money so I could go get a T-shirt from the merch table. And I came back and they said, what did you get? Show us your shirt that you got. Show us your shirt. And I held up this giant black cotton T-shirt with a picture of Stephen Fearing on it. And they said, who the heck is that? So, yeah, I get to sing this song with him. And I don't think I've ever played this song at a show before, so we'll see how it goes. But love is not an arrow being guided by a bow. It is spinning in a compass that won't say where to go. A game of indecision is one that you can't win. When you think your heart is growing, but it's only growing thin. Watching one sun setting, another rising in your chest. When you have a heart that's heading to the east and to the west. I know I'm being greedy, and I know it isn't right to ask myself this question in the secret of the night. I should be grateful. Love is hard enough to find, but choosing can be painful. Leaving half your heart behind, watching one sun setting, another rising in your chest. When you have a heart that's heading to the east and to the west. When you have a heart that's heading to the east and to the west. Oh, that was so scary. Okay, I'm going to play one more tune and then turn you free on whatever the pink piano has to offer behind the bar there. Please do support these folks as thoroughly as you can. It is amazing to have this space here and have them open their doors for events like this. A listening room space. Beautiful. I have a little green suitcase that has some stuff. I don't know if you remember CDs, but I have some of those. And some stickers, and fresh out of the oven, I have some summery colored t-shirts that are new here. And they have a picture of a place that is very near and dear to me. It's a place that if you'd ever traveled from Halifax along the Highway 101 toward the Annapolis Valley, and you just bypassed Windsor, where I live. First of all, rude, but secondly, we do have 3 Tim Hortons there. What more do you want? But there was a building that's been there for 150 years. It was the textile mill that employed many, many generations of families over the years. And but for most of my lifetime, it's been empty. And I always had this vision of what the place could be because I loved it. It just was so big and grand and different from everything else around, especially growing up kind of out in the country. It looked very impressive. So I wrote a song about it when I first moved to Windsor. It was one of the first songs. It was the first song I ever kind of put out formally into the world. It was a song called Cotton Mill. And I made a video to go with it by trespassing into the building. I'll tell you now. And I looked up the trespassing fee and decided it was worth it if I did get caught. Fortunately, it worked out okay. And I think secretly that someone would see that video, someone rich, and take on the place and turn it into something new. And time passed, and unfortunately, my power is not that great, and it didn't happen. And weather and time continued to take their toll on the building, and eventually the roof caved in, and the decision was made that they had to knock most of it down, which was a sad day. So this is the second song about this old brick building that is featured now on these t-shirts. And this song is called Brick and Mortar. And I wrote it and entered it into a song contest and then forgot I had done that immediately. And then literally like 2 years went by, and then I got an email saying that it was in the top 7 entries of the Commonwealth Song Contest representing Canada out of 56 countries. And I was like, oh, what the heck? Yeah, no, hold it, hang on. I know you've never heard of the Commonwealth Song Contest. I had forgotten I entered it. So there was a great rash of voting that people could participate in, and then sure enough, the next round, the song was in the top 3. I thought, okay, well now we're really cooking with gas here, and it was opened up that a bunch of songwriters could vote on it, and that meant a lot to me because songwriters mean a lot to me. And sure enough, this song ended up winning this contest. No, wait, that's still not impressive yet. I was still not impressed either, until I found out that 20,000 songs had been entered into this, and that's, yeah, right, okay, now it's like, yes, now. 20,000 songs collected over 4 years. So I am going to close with this song, even though it is a little bit of a sad one, but there will be more after if you choose to stick around, and I hope you do. Let me tell you, this has been so lovely so far. I just couldn't ask for anything more right now. Thank you so much for being here. So now, to wind this first half of the proceedings up, this is a song called Brick and Mortar, which is just marginally better than the other 19,999 songs that I forgot I had entered into the Commonwealth Song Contest. I rub my hands and absorb the heat, radiating up through the passenger seat. The engine idle silent in the bitter cold. The light shines through a clean gray slate, a whisper of blue and the weary weight of hearts too heavy for our hands to hold. The hurt comes quick, the words come late, hours spent on an expiry date, and we both have other places we should be. The chance we had has passed us by, a straight plane in a neutral sky, a tear stain drying on a jacket sleeve. Hearts can pound through brick and mortar. Cornerstones are crumbling into dust. The walls come down, I come up short. I wanted more, I wanted more, I wanted more of us. The walls lean in, the roof has caved. One more thing that we can't save. Time and change will win, no matter how we try. And And it's hard to say no and hard to say when to tear it all down or build it up again. There's a gentle art in saying goodbye. Hearts can pound through brick and mortar. Cornerstones are crumbling into dust. The walls come down, I come up short. I wanted more, I wanted more, I wanted more of us. Ooh. Hearts can pound through brick and mortar. Cornerstones are crumbling into dust. The walls come down, I come up short. I wanted more, I wanted more, I wanted more. I wanted more, I wanted more of us. All right, my friends, thank you so much.
And thank you for coming to the podcast for the final set of the night with Terra Spencer live at the Pink Piano Cafe in Lower Sackville. My name is Robert Campbell. Please do look up Songwriters from Here and Away online. Send us a note and let us know what's going on in your world. Let us know what you might like to hear, and also find out about the live shows that are coming up more at the Pink Piano and elsewhere. And if you're an artist, reach out. Maybe we can do something together. Thanks.
Are we generally a dog crowd or a cat crowd? Predominantly dogs, but the dogs are just louder too, I guess. But we're sort of split in our household technically. We have 2 dogs, 2 old dogs, and an even older cat. But the dogs really have been pivotal in this songwriting career that I've had going, because I first started writing songs when I was out walking them by myself, so I have to give them royalties on anything. And if you take home any CD I will ever make in my life, you'll then own a picture of my 2 dogs in some form. Their names are Cleo and Giddy. And one of them we got as a puppy, and the other one we adopted as a rescue dog. And one of them is very anxious and neurotic, and the other one is very chilled out and relaxed. And I won't tell you which one is which. No, I will. Cleo, the one we've had since she was a puppy, is a wreck. She's just a nervous wreck, completely. And Gideon, who we adopted when he was roughly 2 years old, he was a stray, so we don't know for sure. But he was terrified when we brought him home. He was so afraid, would just cower and pee on things when anyone gave him a sideways glance, and in no time was the friendliest, most welcoming dog that you could ever meet. And they crop up in songs every now and again. So the first one, though, I'm going to play you is a song that I wrote for Gideon in a sense, but it might be a song for us in general, too. So. You don't know my history. You just take good care of me. I am a rescue. I am a rescue. Running wild and chasing cars. I've had my scraps, I have my scars. I am a rescue. I am a rescue. rescue. I wander streets a lonely stray, getting by and waiting for the day. A gentle word, an open door, means I won't wander anymore. I don't scratch and I don't bite. I just need shelter for the night. I am a rescue. I am a rescue. Wander streets a lonely stray, getting by and waiting for the day. A gentle word, an open door, means I won't wander anymore. I've used my chances, had my shots. Please take me home, you're all I've got. Thank you so much. I'm reluctant to bring up anything about the weird 2 years that we experienced. 2 years plus, I guess. The gist of it is, I grew up an only child, so a week and a half into the pandemic, I was like, well, I'm going to build a blanket fort in my basement to write songs in it and hang out at home and tuck away and eat snacks. And really, I weathered the whole thing pretty well, all things considered. But I spent an awful lot of time staring at my phone during the pandemic. I don't know if anybody else is guilty of that. And that's a dangerous thing because you get all of these little snippets of the world just at random, scrolling past you, terrible videos and photos of atrocities happening around the world, and you react, you feel the feelings of it, and there's no context sometimes. You just see these little flashes, and it can be hard on the heart. And there was a point in time where I saw this short little video clip of an interaction that happened between some police officers and a young man, and I just didn't know what to make of it. I wrote this song immediately, like some kind of therapeutic reaction, and then was scared my own self and just went out for a walk after that. And I still don't really know what to do with this song because it is an exercise in putting yourself in someone else's shoes and trying to see the perspective. And you don't know what that person is thinking. But anyhow, that's all the explanation I'm going to give here. This is a song called Little Boys. We pull into the driveway, one uneventful DUI. We We parked down by the schoolyard with some cheeseburgers and fries. The kids play pickup ball, every free throw swishes in. Marshall makes a wager on shirts versus skins versus skins. We are 2 hours in the night shift, killing time and laying low, startled by the crackle coming through the radio. The scene of the disturbance, 2 women in a fight. We parked down by the schoolyard, kill the sirens and the lights, and I can see them through the curtains. They are yelling, pulling hair. A man busts out the screen door and comes charging down the stairs, and I can feel my heartbeat racing. We yell at him to freeze, but he keeps moving. He's out chasing us beyond the SUV, and we have our guns trained on him. Marshall pulls the safety back, grabs him by the shirt tail. I hear the pop and crack, the car doors swinging open. The man is falling in. There are fireworks in August. 7 shots are deadly sins. The ambulance comes screaming, the t-shirt turning red. We try to stop the bleeding, sick to think he might be dead. People cry and drown the sirens, they come spilling in the street. I notice something moving, little boys in the back seat. And my own son cries when I tell him that night when I get home, you can't see us, try to help him in that video on your phone. And in the court I answer questions from the lead investigator, how we made our decisions and why we asked our questions. Later in my mind I'm by a bedside on the other end of town with a man who fights to breathe the way he did when Marshall shot him down. In nightmares I have heard them ever since the incident. Voices scream blue murder, little boys ask me where their daddy went. So, because this seems like a safe space, and you're all really friendly, I'm going to play you the song that is about things that are strange, behaviors or practices that seem very strange, but then become normal over time. And I remember seeing the evening news on my grandparents' TV when they talked about tap cards for payments, where there'd just be a chip or something and you could tap it and pay. And I thought, oh my gosh, people are just going to steal our money right through our pockets. There's no way that will ever work. And now we're all used to it. But this is a song about a different practice that is odd when you think about it, but has become somewhat normalized. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Does in Russia, the war in Vietnam, Robert Oppenheimer and his atom bomb, politics and power, terror and destruction. The Titanic captain didn't follow his instructions. A hold-on country can make a bad decision, but they can't trump the guy who thought up circumcision. Linus has a blanket, Yankee Doodle wears a cap, Harry Potter has a scarf, and a Jack needs a flap. If that tiny piece of tissue is really just a spare, tell me, why did Mother Nature ever put it there? Maybe I am missing the point of this position, but the babies want to know if they can veto circumcision. I'm not qualified to give criticism. The world has too much armchair activism. May I am missing a doctor's wise decision, but that moral had moxie when he made that first incision. As a little baby boy, there wasn't much you could do. But now that you're a grown-up, here's a tip for you. If you know a plastic surgeon, you might be in luck the next time a lady comes in for a tummy tuck. A teeny tiny transplant, an easy proposition. Maybe you and super glue can undo that circumcision. All right, so now a hard change of gears yet again. There are songs that I write. I love writing songs. I can't state that enough. But they're not always songs that I feel like are intended for me. Some of my favorite songs that I've written are ones that somewhere along the way in my mind I hear like a certain voice. And then I have my heart set on giving that song away to that person. And that's happened a couple of times. But that is really how I got to know Ben Kaplan. It's because I'd written this song that links to two different things. One, it's an experience that I would see happening over and over again while working at the funeral home, while the matriarch, the wife, the mother in a family would pass away, and the gentleman of the family would have to learn how to live life all over again in a very different way. And then merge that with something my daughter sent me online, which was a letter, a beautiful letter written by an older gentleman for an eBay seller who had sold him a VCR. So those two things became a song, and the voice that I heard in my mind had some gravel and grit and age in it. And Ben's younger than me, but his voice has that sound. Ben has that kind of Tom Waits sort of voice. And if you don't know who Tom Waits is, it's kind of a Cookie Monster sort of sound, with all respects to both. So I wrote this song and emailed Ben and said, "Hi, Ben, I'm a stranger to you, but I write songs, and this one has always made me think of you, and I would just love to hear you sing it someday." And Ben invited me over for tea. He's usually traveling the world, but it was right in between lockdowns here in Nova Scotia, and he was home in Halifax going stir crazy and had me over for a cup of tea. And I played him the song, and then he said, "Why don't we make a whole record?" And then we did, and it's called Old News, and this song is on it. So if you have that record, you'll hear a very different sound of this song, but since Ben is not here, I am going to play it for you, and specifically for Martin. I think that this might be the chance. Can I do this as a two-handed thing? Can you hear that? I've broken the piano. Oh, no, tip it up, straighten up. I stayed up late for my auction bid. Gently used a VCR like Christmas morning for a kid. I typed the numbers on my credit card. I filled my name and my address, paid for next day delivery. Harry barks at the UPS. Harry and me keep our own company. Treasures buried in my mind, they come alive and fill the screen. Memories I had left behind. It's been years since I had last seen the places that I used to go, the faces that I used to know. The basement shelves are in a mess. Joan would tear a strip off me. Stacks of books and VHS under the dust, a memory. The labels peel, the cases fade. Every tape a new surprise. Birthday parties and friends we made. Babies grow before my eyes. Treasures buried in my mind, they come alive and fill the screen. And when it ends, I press rewind. It's been years since I had last seen the places that I used to go, the faces that I used to know. The final show to end the night, our wedding day in late July. Joni's dress of lily white, fast and forward the good times fly. For every photo in our book, she held the camera and made us smile. And now I remember just how she looked. I hadn't seen her in a long, long time. Treasures buried in my mind, they come alive and fill the screen. And when it ends, I press rewind. It's been years since I had last seen the places that I used to go. in her wedding dress. She visits me on VHS. All right. Well, when I agreed to go on that tour with Ryan Cook, when I finally decided it was a good idea after my family and friends had tried to persuade me that it was a great move, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I was finally convinced, I wrote them a lovely song about kind of being brave and taking leaps and flying, you know, taking that plunge. That's not the song I'm going to play you right now, because right after I wrote that song, I went to bed that night and had a wicked nightmare about what that tour might turn out like. And so that is the song that I'm going to play you for Dawn. Cotton candy, sticky fingers, fryer grease, smoke that lingers in my wig, costume clothes, nightmare paint, a bright red nose, a tiny town, the pouring rain, the monkeys pick fleas from the mane of a lion who had lost his fight to noise and heat, firelight, and in the ring I am a clown. We bring the circus into town, tumble round like acrobats for ticket stubs, coins and hats. Where are the crowds? They skip the show to listen to the radio. No, they don't bother coming down when the circus comes to town. The chorus girls, they twirl and dance, the frayed lace of their underpants. I made myself some grander plans, swallowed swords and sleights of hand. A magic man cuts me in half to oohs and ahs and doubtful laughs. And every morning crack of dawn, the wheels turn and we move on. And in the ring, I am a clown. We bring the circus into town and tumble round like acrobats for ticket stubs and coins in hats. Where are the crowds? They skip the show to listen to the radio. No, they don't bother coming down when the circus comes to town. At noon I'll share my sandwiches with elephants and ostriches and think about my precious kids packing their own school lunches. I daydream of a different tent, summer evenings that we spend at Risser's Beach, laid side by side, the nylon walls, the roaring tide, and in the ring, I'm a clown. We bring the circus into town and tumble round like acrobats for ticket stubs and coins in hats. Where are the crowds? They skip the show to listen to the radio. No, they don't bother coming out when the How are we doing? How are you holding up? We won't keep you much longer. I know there's a lot to be up to on a Saturday night in Lower Sackville, so I won't keep you too much longer. But my granddad says that, I don't know, he wasn't a huge fan of songwriting. I think original songs, as if, you know, like that's where songs come from. They were all new songs at some point in history. But anyhow, he says, no, you always have to play a song that people know so they know if you're any good or not. So that's what we're going to attempt right now. It is true. Yeah. So I'm going to play you one of my favorite songs by a great, great songwriter who is not with us anymore, who wrote a song when he was just like a young fellow in his 20s. That is a great example of stepping into someone else's shoes and trying to see life through their perspective. And if you know it, I hope you will sing along with me. This is a John Prine song written by him when he was a young man that begins with, I am an old woman. So. I am an old woman, named after my mother. My old man is another child that's grown old. And if dreams were lightning and thunder was desire, this old house would have burned down a long time ago. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster from an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. To believe in this living is just a hard way to go. When I was a young girl, I had me a cowboy. He were much to look at, just a free rambling man. But that was a long time, and no matter how hard I try, the years just flow by like a broken down dam. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster from an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. To believe in this living is just a hard way to go. There's flies in the kitchen, and I can hear them in there buzzing. I ain't done nothing since I woke up today. And how the hell can a person go to work in the morning and come home in the evening and have nothing to say? Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. poster from an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to believe in this living is just a hard way. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster from an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to believe in this living is just a hard way to go. To believe in this living is just a hard way. To believe in this living is just a hard way to go. Thank you all so much. You have been terrifically patient and welcoming and kind through this. It is an absolute joy to get to do what I do, and you all make it possible. So thank you for taking a risk, maybe on a new place you've never been before, taking a risk on a new person maybe you've never heard of before, and it means a lot. So I am going to close off with one song, but Robert, I have an idea if you're willing. Are you game? Okay. That's all I need to know. Yeah. Before I let you go, it's my own due diligence to say that you don't have to take anything home with you. It's wonderful if you do, but I do really value. There's a little notebook that I collect email addresses in, and the reason I do that is because there's a good chance someday that Facebook will get hacked and taken down, or all those other things might fall apart. I promise I will only send you rare emails. This isn't Old Navy or something like that. I'm not going to harass you every 3 days with an email. But because I have a new record coming out this fall, it'd be nice to stay in touch. So if you don't mind jotting that in, I will tell you, I sent my husband to the dollar store to get me a new notebook, just something plain. I said, that's all. And if you look at the front cover of the notebook, you will see what he brought home for me, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But it is somewhat fitting for tonight's environment. So thank you all very, very much. This is such a pleasure, and I am thrilled to ask the wonderful Robert Campbell to close out the night with me. But before we do that, I think we need to say a huge, huge thank you to everyone here at the Pink Piano, to Jen and Mike and Jasmine and Nate and the whole crew. Thank you so much for creating this incredible place. This is a songwriter's dream. So thank you, and I wish you the greatest success with everything. I hope all of these people are new biggest fans, and soon you're going to have to build on. So thank you for everything. And to the wonderful Robert Campbell, who has done all of the work to put these new shows together and taken a risk and stuck his neck out and put in a heap of work behind the scenes that you never see. Robert, you are such a friend of music, and I'm happy to call you a friend of mine too. So thank you. We've practiced and practiced and practiced this song.
I've been sleeping at her house for the last week and a half. No, that was a joke.
I was just going to say, no, he hasn't been sleeping. But that made it even worse.
Okay, yeah, we'll give it a try.
Okay, ready?
Yeah. When all is lost and life is upside down,
a friend is there to turn your day around.
when your hands are full, a friend will flaws that other folks don't see.
To remind you of a joke that you once shared. Yes, that is how a good friend cares. A friend is nice when you need advice, they'll steer you clear of trouble. They understand when you need a hand, they'll be there on the double. When you need a lift or you feel adrift, a friend might throw a line. It's such a gift to have a friend like mine.
Anyone can love you at your best,
but only a good friend can pass the test.
they love you when angry, sad and bitter. A friend makes you a winner when you feel like a quitter.
You can do it. Yes. Really give it. When you're tipsy in the glow of candlelight,
And you ask a friend if they might spend the night.
but they don't stay. They go home to someone else. That is one way a good friend helps.
A shoulder you can cry on.
And nothing more.
Yes, that is what good friends are for. Great tune. Thank you, Terra. Buy the CDs and the merch. Thank you and thanks. See you next time.